A lone elephant staggers through the dry savanna, his breaths shallow and uneven, his eyes wide with pain and confusion. The ground shakes beneath his massive feet as he senses the shadow of danger creeping closer every moment. He cries out with a sound that seems almost human, a plea that echoes across the plains. Don't leave me *. Before we dive into today's topic, make sure to subscribe to the channel to stay updated with all our latest videos. Don't forget to like and comment your thoughts below. I love hearing from you. The elephant moved slowly through the dry grass, his massive legs trembling with each step as a dull fire spread through his stomach and his vision blurred with pain. He knew something was wrong, but the forest around him seemed unchanged. The wind whispered through the trees and the birds scattered in alarm. He tried to call out, but the sound that escaped his mouth was weak, a desperate plea that carried across the plains, a sound meant for the herd. He could not see. A shadow moved among the acacia, the faint rustle of leaves like whispers of hunters. His ears twitched and his trunk lifted, sniffing the air. He could smell the metal, the blood, the poison, the cruelty. He had always felt safe in these lands, but now the ground beneath him felt treacherous, as if it would swallow him whole. The sun beat down mercilessly, and his heart pounded like a drum of warning. Every step was agony, and yet he had to move. He had to survive. A distant roar of a jeep made him stumble. His eyes wide with terror, the shadow of humans crouched and ready to strike loomed closer. His mind flashed to memories of the herd, the young calves that once ran beside him, the cool water holes, the laughter of rain falling on leaves, and he cried out inside his soul, don't leave me, don't leave me. He staggered past thorny bushes that tore his skin, leaving lines of red. He barely felt them as pain from the poison drowned every other sensation. His legs wavered like thin branches in a storm, and the horizon seemed to stretch endlessly as if mocking his weakness. Somewhere, a vulture circled high in the sky, sensing the scent of his suffering, and the stillness of the earth was broken only by the whispering of the grasses under his feet. He lowered his head to the ground to take a drink from a shallow puddle. The water tasted bitter, and he realized it was poison to his body. Refused to obey him, the muscles quivering and twitching as though they had a mind of their own. Every sound became amplified, the snapping of a twig, the distant cry of another animal, the rustle of boots and rifles on the dry earth. He could see them now through the heat waves of the sun, dark shapes moving in silence, calculating precise movements. His trunk shook as he lifted it to smell, and he could feel the life draining from him, the poison like a slow fire from inside out. His eyes welled up and he screamed out again, his voice hoarse and broken, a wordless cry. Don't leave me, don't leave me. His memories became sharper with fear, the scent of his family, the cool riverbank where calves splashed and played, the shade of the baobab under which he had rested his head and dreamed of endless skies. The longing for connection burned brighter than the pain as the humans drew near. Each step was a battle, every breath a struggle. His massive body seemed fragile against the precision of their intent. The scent of metal and sweat made him dizzy and disoriented. He turned sharply to escape the net laid across the narrow path, but stumbled over a root. His tusks scraped against the dry bark, leaving lines of blood. He roared, a sound that shook the branches above him and echoed across the plains. Yet the hunters moved closer, and the earth seemed to tilt beneath him. He remembered the rains that had come months before, the mud that clung to his feet, the playful push of a young calf against his trunk, the long nights when the moon hung low and silver in the sky, the smell of wet earth and flowers, and for a moment hope flared like a candle against the darkness. He pushed himself forward through the pain, stumbling and dragging each leg as if the earth conspired against him, and yet he would not give. In the shadow of the poachers loomed closer, the clicking of metal, and the faint hiss of their whispers, a warning, a promise, and he cried out again, the words that had become his mantra. Don't leave me, don't leave me. Some distant, the faint sound of an engine reached him, a truck perhaps, a ranger perhaps, a savior, but it was too far, too fast, and he could feel the weakness taking hold. His knees buckled and he fell against a tree, his trunk curling around the roots. As though seeking comfort, he smelled the humans close enough now to taste their intent, and he could feel the sharpness of the weapons aimed at him. He raised his head with a final burst of strength, a roar that rattled the birds from the branches, a plea that shook the air. Don't leave me, don't leave me. The earth shook with his weight as he struggled to rise, every movement a knife twisting through his muscles, the poison burning relentlessly inside him, his vision swimming with heat and shadows. He stumbled forward through the dry grass, each step a gamble between life and collapse. The hunters were patient, stalking him with silent precision, their eyes glinting with the reflection of the sun on metal. The air was thick with the smell of fear, sweat, and dust. He could hear his own heart pounding in his ears, louder than the birds, louder than the wind, a sound that reminded him he was still alive. But barely. A vulture swooped low, circling above him, its shadow a dark omen. Against the golden plains he moved toward a sparse grove of trees, seeking cover each branch and leaf a potential trap. He lowered his head, sniffing the ground, tracing the scent of water and life. A part of him knowing the water holes might be poisoned, but his body demanded it. His trunk quivered as he reached a small muddy pool. The water foamed slightly at the edges, but he drank anyway. The fire in his stomach eased for a moment, giving him the strength to rise again. He staggered into the shade, pressing his side against the rough bark of a baobab, trying to gather strength to escapatha. Poachers whispered and signaled each other, their rifles ready, their boots crunching softly on the cracked earth. A predator's patience in every step they had been here before taking life without thought, but the elephant would not surrender. His mind screamed a silent plea to the wind, to the trees, to any who might hear. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. He remembered the touch of his calves brushing against him, the gentle push of the younger elephants in the herd, their trumpets of greeting, the cool shadow of the river that had carried him through seasons and storms. A memory so vivid it burned like fire in his chest, giving him the courage to fight through. The pain coiled in his legs like snakes, but he pushed on, weaving between trunks and thorny bushes. Each step leaving scratches bleeding, but each step carrying him away from death. The hunters hesitated briefly, watching him falter, calculating the moment to strike, the air thick with tension, every crack of a twig a potential signal of doom. The elephant lunged forward on instinct, pushing through pain and exhaustion, using his massive weight to topple small trees and create obstacles. The poachers had to navigate, slowing their pursuit, his mind sharp despite the poison, his heart driven by the primal will to survive. Sun fell lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the plains, and the forest floor became a patchwork of light and darkness. The elephant moved through the shadows, guided by scent and memory. He could feel life slipping from him, yet a spark of defiance burned within his chest, a refusal to become just another trophy, a pile of tusks and bones. The hunters' whispers grew louder, a signal that they were closing in. Each breath a struggle, each heartbeat a countdown to inevitable capture or death. Then through the haze of pain and fear he heard it, a faint rumble of an engine, the smell of humans different from the hunters, reaching him across the dust. A vehicle approaching fast enough to give hope. His trunk rose, trembling nostrils flaring the possibility of rescue. A group of rangers appeared through the trees, shouting commands. The poachers startled and faltering, their confidence wavering. The elephant felt something inside shift, adrenaline cutting through poison, a surge of strength. He stumbled forward, the hunters firing, but the rangers moving with urgency that chase a dangerous dance of life and death. Every second stretched impossibly. He stumbled over roots, fell into a shallow ditch, rolling painfully but rising again, his breath ragged lungs burning. The sounds of humans shouting, metal clashing, and the distant crack of rifles mingled with his cries, the ranger's presence a lifeline. The poachers hesitated, weighing risk and reward. The elephant pressed forward, guided by instinct and hope, memories of his herd flooding his mind. He imagined their faces, the soft touch of a calf, the protective circle of adults, a vision that fueled his will. Branches whipped his sides, thorns tore his hide, blood mixed with sweat and dust, yet he refused to collapse. He swung his trunk back, swatting at approaching poachers, a desperate defense that bought precious moments. The rangers used every tactic to block and divert the hunters, their voices shouting commands, the sound cutting through the chaos. The elephant's mind a blur of pain, fear, and determination, every step an act of defiance, every breath a refusal to surrender. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the forest filled with long shadows. The elephant pushed on, dragging each leg through the underbrush, a rhythm of survival. He knew he was near exhaustion, yet he did not stop. Each step a prayer, each breath a silent plea. Don't leave me, don't leave me. The poachers, now desperate, their shadows flitting like ghosts among the trees, the rangers closing in with courage and precision, the chase reaching a fever pitch.